Yo, 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 what is up? Happy day. Oh, happy day. What's up? This is your boy, Joshua Taylor. You know what it is, founder of host of Break into the Future. We're breaking in all things in this season. It's crypto, it's blockchain. Special guest, my boy, my guy. We've been tweeting for a while. CryptoSmiff, aka Jordan, the analyst, crypto, all things crypto. What's up, my guy? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Got no complaints. It's a beautiful Friday. We got Labor Day weekend coming up. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Definitely, man. Yes, it is Labor Day weekend for everyone that's in the United States. I know we have viewers all over the world, and crypto is borderless. But here in the States, we are celebrating a holiday. So you guys can labor for us. We're going to take off. Not really, because
Not really. Crypto
crypto
goes
has
on
no
weekends,
days off.
right?
Yeah, it's facts, man. But yeah, man, like the people always want to know something we always do on this show. They want to know who you are. Tell the people who you are and what's good.
So my name is Jordan, CryptoSmiff on Twitter. I grew up in the Bay Area, California. I now live in Los Angeles. Graduated college 2018. Played football actually for a couple years. I was a walk-on. Studied business. Kind of was just trying to find my footing in the world. I always knew I liked. I was always enamored by finance and investing and how it works. Didn't have too much background from like family going on to teach me, and I got myself into investing after I actually stopped playing football, and kind of haven't looked back ever since. I worked in tech for a little bit. I had internships in software sales. I started one of my first jobs out of college at tech as well. Then I went on to work as an advisor at Morgan Stanley. Saw a lot of things there that I didn't like. As a lot of us on crypto Twitter joke around about TradFi. TradFi is really TradFi. I mean,
What's
any new idea
TradFi?
you have,
What's TradFi?
it's just everything that crypto isn't. I mean,
What does
like,
TradFi stand for?
it stands for traditional finance.
Okay.
It's traditional. I mean, these guys have been doing it for 150 years. Their grandparents were doing it, right? And I was in a world where a lot of people didn't look like me, didn't sound like me, and I had to outperform to be recognized as someone who can perform, which I did. Had no problem with performance ever in any of my roles. But it just wasn't a space that I feel like I could accelerate in at the speed that I wanted to. And the whole time I was doing investing and trading in equities markets on my own, and I had some good successes that allowed me to quit my job. And that was June of 2019. So it's been a little bit over 2 years now.
Yeah.
Not having a traditional role. And I was doing a lot of things like trying to figure out different businesses to work on. I was doing some real estate stuff, even ventured into the cannabis business. I was learning a lot of different things. Just wanted to try to figure out what to focus on. And I think last year, after the crash, really opened my eyes to crypto. After the equities crash and crypto crash,
Yeah.
everyone was at home. Started doing a lot of research. Really got my understanding of crypto in DeFi summer. I mean, I traded like everyone in 2017, but at that point, that was like, hey, let me see if I can make some money. And then really in 2020, DeFi summer, I started, using these tools. The first one I came across was Compound, and I was using it through InstaDApp, and it was kind of hard.
What is Compound?
Compound is a lending protocol. It's the bank without the middleman, right? It's kind of a crazy concept. I guess if we're going to break it down, like, I explain it to people as you're able to borrow assets and provide assets as if you were the bank itself.
Mm-hmm.
You can earn an interest rate on your money by lending out your assets, and you can borrow money
Yeah.
just as if you were a customer of a bank
Yeah.
without the middleman.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other tools I played with. And obviously, like, crypto started picking up steam again, with all this shifts in monetary policy from the Fed. I was kind of in a bearish mindset, not for crypto, but for equities. So money moving around wasn't the same for me. So I had this experience where I actually did very well shorting the stock market before the crash, because I was paying attention to COVID, on seeing all the stuff coming out of China.
January timeframe, right?
January, right? Yeah. And, I did very well. And then I actually lost a lot going back in and shorting the market before the Fed announced all of their monetary policies, which, at that point, it was basically, if you weren't on the other side of the trade, it was over. The market has not looked back. So
you got squeezed, essentially.
I got squeezed. I mean, yes, I guess I got squeezed. I mean, I shorted the market, did the best I ever had, right? And then my mindset, I was right. I confirmed my own bias by being right. And I looked for the next opportunity, and I was looking for a debt bubble to squeeze. I think there's a lot of people in, like, the macro community who are looking for an insolvency phase in debt. But I mean, literally two of the instruments that I shorted, HYG and what's the other one? It's an investment grade index. HYG is a junk bond index.
It's
basically
junk bonds. Yeah.
Yeah, all of the bad debt out there. The Federal Reserve on a Sunday night said that they were going to buy it. And basically, if you look at the rates now, there is basically no return on the interest rate for that debt, because the Fed backstopped all the risk.
Yeah.
Which is why we have this environment we're in.
New free risk rate has gone out further and further.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was my mindset at the time. So it took me a long time to recover, but in the meantime, I was playing with a lot of this. I was being more a part of the crypto community in a sense of actually utilizing the tools rather than just looking for cash grabs.
Yeah.
So January 2021, I basically was like, oh, well, this is it, right? Like, Bitcoin had its amazing run after, and I just switched to focusing on that. And it's been a journey. Like, I have been just trying to build my community, build my own understanding. I'm obviously no expert. I don't ever think I want to be an expert, because this stuff moves so fast.
Yeah.
And there's so much information to absorb.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the most exciting things I feel like I've ever been a part of. I mean, the community accepts you no matter what, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from. Like, I was on a Twitter Spaces, and half the questions were people from South America. It's amazing. Crypto is everything finance isn't. It just opens a whole new world of innovation and opportunity. It's literally could be the monetization of the entire world, if you want to put it that way. Banking the unbanked, right? Giving it. It's just, I'm kind of stumbling my words, because it's kind of like an unfathomable thing to think of, that it could be this big.
Yeah, it's lowering the financial rails for everyone. Why do you think, like, the passion you have, and, like, I guess you doing your own research and realizing, like, wow, like, this is it. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think people all over the world are grasping this concept? And, like, this is for, like, Breaking Gang or people who might be watching this for the first time. Like, why? I wouldn't say believe in this, but, like, why? Like, what made you gravitate, just like people all over the world are? Like, I know you've explained it, but, like, what was, like, that thing that was like, wow, like, this is really something, besides, like, the price is going up.
Yeah, exactly. Besides the prices going up. I probably wouldn't be here if that's all I cared about 3 months ago, when everything cut 60%, right? But anyways, so I guess I could preface this a little bit with, like, my personal experience with the financial system in the United States. So my mom's an English teacher. She's a saver. Not anymore. I converted her. She's been a saver her whole life.
You're going. Yeah.
My dad he was a laborer. He worked at some people may or may not be familiar with the company called Numi. Back in the financial crisis went under. They were one of the last car manufacturers in the United States, definitely on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And he lost his job. You know, he was around 50 at the time.
Yeah.
You know, he had like his AA, grew up tough, right?
Yeah.
But he was doing very well for himself. Like we had, you know, we could go on a vacation every year. Like I never complained, like saw like, you know, I didn't have a lot of the issues that a lot of people that may look like me and you, because my parents, like they figured it out together. He lost his job, and it was, you know, a long time of him not being able to find a job because his skills, just plain and simple, aren't really needed anymore. He's a manufacturer, right?
Yeah.
All of that has gotten outsourced, especially after 2008. It already started in 2000, but it was inevitable, right? So, you know, we had like through high school, this is when most of this was going on. And I had a bigger understanding of things like, you know, there were no more vacations. Like it wasn't like, I mean, I had, you know, you had to figure things out a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't living that middle class lifestyle anymore.
Yeah.
And I wanted to figure out, you know, you would hear about the stock market every single day. I remember the Dow Jones is down 100 points, which is nothing anymore. But back then it was a lot. Again, 200 points, 400 points. What does this all mean, right? And then you see Occupy Wall Street. You see all these people mad because these guys that ran the banks, you know, they got away with $100 million bonuses. And then people, I mean, I just remember my street, maybe every third house, there was a house for sale, foreclosure, right?
Yeah, not selling.
Not right, selling exactly, not selling.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to understand what this all was.
Yeah.
And that's why after I stopped focusing on sports, I was like, what's next for me? That was a big turning moment for me. As you know, as an athlete, like it's a hard conversation to have for a lot of, like an inner conversation to have as an athlete. Like, when does this all end? Because you know, like your whole life is built around like, I'm going to do this, but you're not doing this anymore. Some people might not be like that, but that was my life. Like I thought I was going to be able to make this NFL basically.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't in the cards. So what am I going to do after that? I had this interest. How does money work? How are these people doing this?
Yeah.
Right. And I just went out and started doing it, like playing around with a couple $100 and buying stocks. And then I saw it. Like I saw the benefit of me doing a little bit of research and investing in things that I understood. And it helped me. It's helped people around me, my family, financially, from understanding the way the financial system works.
Yeah.
And that's part of my personal experience. Another thing that made me dig deeper was I had student loans. I didn't know about them when I went to college. My mom was like, yeah, like she didn't know about what it really meant to have them.
Yeah.
I just, cause like I said, I was focused on sports. Like I want to go to school. I want to play football. Like you know, obviously I'm going to do good in class. I never had a problem with that. But that was my life and I was already in it. So I was like, let me just do this. Right. So that was another thing, a personal experience of mine. And, you know, like I had success trading, investing for myself and for people in my family. Got into the professional career and I smelled something wrong. Like, why do people look at me differently? Why do people talk at me differently? Why do you want to touch my hair? Like, why are you asking me about hip hop right now? Like I'm working, like, you know, stuff like that. Like just little things that you kind of have to ignore. But just the fact that, I mean, there was nobody like me. Like maybe that could have been an advantage, but I also wasn't able to use the tools I felt I needed to grow just because the limitations of regulation in, you know, big brokerage firms like Morgan Stanley. So I left that, you know, I was still doing a little bit of trading where I could, and I did well. And that allowed me to leave. And then, you know, crypto comes around and all of the things that, I mean, the things that I was investing in were innovative things. Like I said, I worked in tech as well. I grew up in Silicon Valley. So I grew up around these people and I just my mind was in a place where I could finally see where the transition was. Like, I knew people that had made that transition. I wasn't fully there yet because, I had some success doing, trading equities and investing in equities. So obviously, one part of my mind's like, I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah.
And then just like, especially after the crash and COVID, and seeing all of these things culminate into like where we will be in the next 10, 15, 20 years,
There you go.
I would be remiss if I didn't pay attention to this, because if I'm a trader or an investor, I see this trend. I see an inflationary environment because of the monetary policy of the Fed, and I see a deflationary environment because of the exponential value that tech grows at. And crypto is both of those.
Yeah.
It removes the risk of the inflationary environment while it gives the benefits of the deflationary environment of tech.
Yeah.
Because it moves exponentially, which, this whole concept of network effects and whatnot, and the speed is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never been seen before. Like, the internet was fast. This is going to be faster.
Yeah. Why is it
partially because of the internet?
Yeah.
Partially because of the internet, right?
It's like two layers. Now you're just adding a third layer. So we already have a foundation.
Yeah.
And way more people online, right?
Exactly. And we move from the stage of, having access to internet to the internet being the decentralization or democratization of, I don't want to say decentralization, democratization of information. So people can smell that something isn't right now because they have access to information. And we've seen these responses. Why did Trump get elected? All of these people that have never voted before, came out because something wasn't right. They feel like they're oppressed in their own way. People that were, middle of the country, maybe not as educated. And this isn't the numbers. Like, this isn't me like trying to get political. People smelled something wrong. They felt like they were done wrong, which they were by the financial crisis, but they didn't know what it was.
Yeah, Middle America
that caused it.
They came out.
Yeah. And that was their response. And usually we see these whiplashes from events that really affect a large groups of people. And I mean, it was such an experience. I mean, in being in LA, and like I participated in like a lot of Black Lives Matter protests, and just the energy around, like, if I'm using my skill set and my understanding of the world, my skill set is probably on the forms of investing, and how can I empower this group of people that not only I represent, but I have an emotional attachment to. I think that there is empowerment through wealth and ownership.
Yeah.
Crypto gives that access there's no barriers to entry other than having internet
and a phone.
The information is all on Twitter. There's no Bloomberg or CNBC that you have to pay for. Like, it's all on the internet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man.
Is that, I know that might have been very long-winded, but
this is for you. This is for you and for the breaking game. That was awesome. I told you I'd have 20 questions, which I'm like, which one should I ask? But like, just to summarize that, like basically through these macro, right, these large scale events in history, right, we as humans, whatever scale of wealth or social, racial, cultural construct you come from, we're going to react to those events. Yep. So like, for instance, Trump winning the election was a lagging indicator of, oh man, middle America, manufacturers, farmers, people who like are in the heartland of building the American country for people that are like not in America, right? We're upset. But you see populism, right? Populism is just like, a new breed of political like dysfunctionalism like coming out, right? People who
it's happened all around the world, right?
UK, we had Brexit, like it was like, we had the French, they almost like had someone that wasn't typical, just all over the world, right? You know, Africa, all over.
Yep.
We can go down the list of like different political leaders and different things that were happening. And I think like uh, if you guys watch The Social Dilemma and you're in Silicon Valley, so you can relate to this a lot, like because the internet, we had a lot of information become free and available to the public, but you also saw people's true hearts, true natures come out, right? A lot of things leaked out there, just like we saw the divide of our country, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, or just the world, like different views, different opinions. So you have this very bifurcated world. So like, I would say as much as like we've had racial tension in the world, which is very prevalent,
Yeah.
right? I think it's
Definitely.
even more about wealth and classism than anything. So like there comes like, you know, 2008 crisis, you have Bitcoin is created, right, by Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever they, them, him, she is. And we have this 10 to 12-year cycle where we are today, where 2 trillion, above 2 trillion in assets as a crypto overall. The crypto markets, me and you, right, rabbit hole, we're in it, right? The whole world is being exposed to the future of money, financial rails. People, like you said, in South America, all over the world are getting access to really, I think the next part of the web is ownership, right? Value and like trustlessness. Like what do you mentioned the crypto Twitter, you mentioned like it doesn't matter what you look like. Like what has your experience been since like January 2021? Like, you know, you growing in this new world and like trying to break it, since we're breaking to the future, how's it been like going from like traditional finance to like, you know, this new finance, new the next layer of the internet into the future?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. From my experience so far in life, people associate with other people they look like and sound like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, everything isn't even. It's not an even playing field totally, right? Like I mean, if you look at most of the crypto companies, I mean, most of the people look the same, right?
Let's be
It's just,
realistic.
let's be realistic, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you know, sometimes it's a little, you know, like it itches, right? But it's just the nature. I hate to say it, but just, I mean, this is kind of the same thing with traditional finance. Every time I look at a fund, it's, you know, I don't think I can relate to anyone on that about me section.
Yeah.
Financially speaking, crypto doesn't have the same barriers to entry because it's decentralized where like you said, all you really need is access to internet. Now, does the information spread the same? Are you going to get access to the same kind of information as other people? Not always, because some people keep things closeted to get a higher return for themselves. But what I think is that there is so much opportunity. I mean, for people like you and me, we met on Twitter, and you know, I joined that Twitter Spaces yesterday with other um, um, Black people from the crypto world, and you know, I was like, wow, they're trying to do all of it. Like that was like impressive, right? A VC fund that's targeting Black founders and wants to help, you know, create crypto influence in Africa, and like, I mean, it's the use case is perfect for Africa. I mean, there's a lot of issues that crypto solves in Africa, and we saw what happened when they banned Bitcoin in Nigeria. Like it was trading at a premium.
It
It's
didn't work.
wanted. You know what I mean? It's literally wanted. So we know the people want it. We know it'll work. Getting it out there is a different story. And one of my first experiences in the NFT world was actually with a Black artist that Ericon mentioned.
Yeah.
Micah Johnson. That was my first NFT. I visited his
he's
gallery in Beverly Hills. Like, I really felt the connection to his art.
Yeah.
Probably NFT I actually will never sell.
Yeah.
But, you know, just seeing that is like more people can do that. You know, like especially a lot of artists are Black.
Mhm.
Music, entertainment, whichever.
Yeah.
This allows them to now control what happens from here on out if they decide to make that leap.
Yeah,
they can.
Yeah.
They're not going to need the artists because the communities build themselves, as we've seen. Like, I don't want to use this as the best example, but Tory Lanez, after all of the canceling he's been through,
Yeah.
whether you believe it or not, right?
Yeah.
He still was able to sell his album through an NFT platform for $1 million.
Yeah. Would he make that through a normal way of selling an album?
I think, well, so the way that contracts work is usually they give you, from my understanding, they give new artists like a few million up front.
Yeah, they give you an advance, which is like
give you an advance. Exactly, right?
Prepaid loan.
Exactly. And you don't own a lot of, you know, I don't know what structure they might give you, royalties.
It's like private equity, kind of.
It's private equity. They're buying you out.
Yeah, it's a buyout.
Right?
You get a cut of the deal, and they flip it,
Exactly.
and you get 10% or whatever on the back end. If you recoup.
Yeah.
But you're in debt, right? And you have to recoup it, and then you get the extra on the top, right?
So not most artists don't do that.
They never recoup off their initial investment. So like you're in the hole.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how 360 deal works. Yeah.
I don't think he would have sold that many albums. He wouldn't have made that much money on a record, because I don't even think a record company. This is why he did it. He did it out of necessity, because nobody's touching that right now. But
he's popular, but he's not A-list. He's not A-list.
No,
he's
exactly.
Not, So yeah.
So I just think that there's a lot of this creates the avenues for more ownership in the things that a lot of the industries that a lot of Black people are in. So I guess my answer to that, some of the things are not going to be avoided just because the way, like you said, classism is structured in the United States. There's just, in the world, I guess you could say, but this is like countries. Right, exactly. This is the biggest opportunity for people of color, minority groups, to remove themselves from the cycle.
The cycle.
This is the cycle of, not being granted access to the same things, and it's holding, an interest-bearing account, having to pay more fee. I mean, when I found out that you had to pay over, like when I was in college, no money, whatever, you had to pay overdraft fees if you had no money, but they don't tell you that unless you call them, and they will remove the overdraft fees because, I mean, I read a court case in Wells Fargo. They had to pay $2 billion back in like 2011. I was researching this. I was like, they can do this? I thought they just turn your card off. You mean this is a setting that they put on your card, your debit account before? Like if I go to Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, the overdraft protection, so that I can get charged over, and then they charge me $35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was like, this is the situation. It's expensive to be poor, I should say. It is expensive to be poor.
There's no nobility in poverty, as they say on Wall Street 1.
There's no nobility in poverty, right? But like it's an unfair system to where that the financial system is built, whether it was intentional or not. We can argue that it probably is, right? Because they want to they have shareholders to report to.
Yeah.
It is designed in a way that keeps poor people down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah,
we can keep going on about this. We can go the FICO system. Like there's things to that need to be changed. I remember I had a family member that had a medical emergency when they were young, and it was bad. They didn't want to tell anyone because it was, something very personal, and they have a bill over their head. before they even knew what the credit system was, and they're getting calls from a collection agency. It's going to take them 7 years from being 18 years old to have to figure that out.
Yeah. What do you think? How does crypto solve those credit problems? Like, we have a debt-based system. Hopefully everyone knows what that is. If you don't, basically debt is money. Every time you put $100 in the bank, right? It's called fractional reserve lending. Say bank A, you put $100 in, they're lending out 10 times that money, and they're keeping 10%. It may be less, maybe none, like a reserve ratio requirement. They're just keeping so much percentage of in the bank just in case, like for reserves, right? Like their own savings account, but they're using that money, multiplying it and expanding their balance sheet essentially.
Balance sheet, yeah.
So they can get a spread. That's how banks make money.
Yeah.
The commercial side, they make money. So banks make money off of fees. Even on the investment banking side, they make money off of fees and advisory services, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then traders make returns off of assets that they're flipping or that they're making longer term bets on.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's a return generator. You have interest and fees that they're making money off of, right? So they're not like, they do buy assets, they do acquire, but like that's how they're a service, right? They don't produce anything. They just like have services. So how does crypto change that? I know you talked about Compound, which is a lending protocol. You could be your bank. Bitcoin is a big thing about like own your keys, own your crypto, right? You are a individual sovereign. So you're a free woman, a free man.
Yep.
Like how does cryptocurrency, right? I'm a newbie in this space. I'm like, what the freak? It's all this confusion. I don't know what this stuff is. Like, I know I know a little bit about Bitcoin. I heard of this Ethereum thing, like all these coins. Like, how does this? Why should I be in crypto? And then, like, does this really going to help all the things that you're talking about? Is it really going to bring freedom to me, middle class person? I'm poor. I'm a young 20 something. I'm 30 trying to like, make it with my young family, whatever. Is this really going to help all the things that you're talking about?
I think there's a few layers to unpack there. Yeah. I mean, obviously this is a huge, task. Like this is asking to change the financial system as we know it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's just start out with this. We can't keep going at the same rate, and they know that.
Yeah.
The U.S. can't be a negative interest rate economy.
Yeah.
What are real rates, right? Half the top countries in the world like have experienced some form of negative interest rate. In the United States,
Germany, Japan,
right? Can our economy run on that? And I think most economists or just people on TV will say the same thing. Like, no, the banking system won't work.
Why not? For the viewers, listeners,
the American dream is promised to you that you are to save your money, work hard, participate in the economy by being a consumer, and you will have a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
There's two sides of this. There's the fact that, I mean, the American dream isn't what it used to be. That's probably the emotional side to it. Getting people to believe in the country, which the country needs to believe in this. You have to have people to believe in a democracy for it to work.
Yeah, it's an ideology, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the actual financial system. If we're talking about that banks make money off of a spread, this negative rates will make it so that it's so much harder for them to make money. And then you're paying the banks to store your money.
Yeah.
Wealthy people are going to have to do that because they have somewhere to put their money. But then everyone else who doesn't have money, how can they afford that? You know what I mean? Like, you taking some off. like you're already taking some off the top when there's nothing to take off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a good
now moving back to where crypto comes in, like I was saying before, it combats the idea of this ever inflating debt bubble because, I mean, you just look at Bitcoin. It's a scarce asset. There is only a certain amount of Bitcoin that will ever be created in the history of man because it's in the rule book. It's not going to get changed. It's programmed. Can't just turn it off. So that in itself, just, I'm trying to like, you know, like
put the pieces
take
together.
steps back, but yeah. It solves the issue of an inflationary dollar, where, as most people have probably heard, well, maybe not everyone, that if you have a dollar sitting there in a bank under your or in your mattress, your dollar is not going to be able to buy what that dollar could yesterday, tomorrow. So in 10 years, that dollar, I mean, if you look at the value of a dollar over the last 20 years, it's gone down. Things are more expensive. Everything around you. You know, some things right now might be different because of supply chain issues, because of COVID, yada, yada. But the fact of the matter is, they're starting to see that possibly inflation isn't, they like to use this word, transient, which some people might be hearing in the news more often, basically meaning, is this accelerated level of my dollar decreasing in value going to continue to happen? They can't predict the future. Economists go off of data that they have in real time to come up with a set of policies that hopefully works in the future, that hopefully affects the future in the right way. There's no rule book to that. Bitcoin has the rule book, right? So it also gave way to this environment of what is, you know, the crypto universe of other tools that give the same concepts of Bitcoin, but apply them in different ways. We see DeFi. Obviously, there's so many more applications than just DeFi. DeFi is probably the fastest and easiest one to attack first, because obviously there's an incentive to it because you make money. It removes a couple things too. It removes the bias, or it removes the predatory nature of the banking system, because there is no individuals that control whether or not you open a bank account or a credit card. There's just a program rule book that says you're going to get this if you put this in, right?
It's just source code. It's
just source code. There's no inherent, like, there's no subliminal, like what happened with Wells Fargo, how they were opening up millions of bank accounts for old people and dead people because they were incentivized at the regional level by corporate to
more,
you know,
more incentives.
Yeah, you just open up more bank accounts. Oh man, I get paid a lot doing this. Nobody's gonna notice. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? They did, and they got a slap on the wrist. If you ask me, they're still around. They rebranded. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Like, but everyone believes in capitalism, but we're not capitalists at heart. It's capitalist for the people, but it's socialism for the corporations. You know what I mean? Like, this is also part of the problem, right? Everyone else gets free handouts. That's, you know, that are corporations, and crypto has that kind of unbiased. If a company gets rug pulled, like, they're done unless they are able to go find funding from someone else. You know what I mean?
What's a rug pull?
So a rug pull, there's a number of ways it can happen, but basically it's when a crypto asset that you hold goes to zero. Could be from a hack. I mean, it's usually from a hack. It could be from the owners of the company, you know, basically scamming people.
Yeah.
And taking all the money.
Leave with the money. Or a big whale just says, forget it. I don't believe in this. Which the whale is a big holder in a certain coin. They have a lot of ownership in that coin.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it, that's a free market system, right?
Free markets. So
Because it's
we don't. So you're basically saying we don't have free markets today because of all the things you've been explaining. Like it's
I learned that in working at Morgan Stanley. I mean, if it was a free market, then why do a few key holders own the whole IPO process for the public transaction? Why is it that there are market makers that are able to front run your trades?
Robinhood, the whole Robinhood thing.
Robinhood pays someone to do that for them, right? Like pay someone, or I'm sorry, Robinhood gets paid.
They get
for someone
billions of dollars.
Yes, right. Like, so you have SEC regulation that makes it so maybe it does protect me from some things, but it doesn't allow anyone to get anywhere near the kind of returns that a rich person can. No one. Crypto allows you to do that. Of course, there's chances you lose money. That is the same risk as if I'm doing VC investing, right? I have 10 investments, one of them makes it, but that one is 100x.
Yeah.
Same concept in crypto, right?
Yeah.
Now, what people have to do is educate themselves on how much money I have to spend to invest. Mm-hmm. If it's $100, I got $100, and it allows you to do that. I mean, even if you go to the stock market, some of the stocks you want to buy, you can't just buy that stock if you only have $100 sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I might have rambled, but that's where I guess the access is different. Mm-hmm. Now, there is access in terms of information that is disseminated, but me and you met on Twitter. You probably have some information that I could use. I got some information you could use. Like we can, it just spreads as you put yourself out there and cast a wide net, meet other people, and opportunities present themselves.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
No, you did. It's open. Like this is how we do it. Do you think that in terms of decentralization, you mentioned that so basically like if there's only a few at the top and many at the right, everyone there's levels to this, as Meek Mill said, right? Everyone can't be the same, right? If it's truly a free market, there's going to be winners, there's going to be less winners, there's going to be some losers. You win some, you lose some, but everyone has a chance in a free market system. So if crypto is allowing for this decentralization, so saying like whether you're rich or poor, you got a shot, you could beat a big guy or a little guy, whatever, right? You can get in the same deals, get in the same crypto companies, maybe at different access points, but you can still get in early. You can still have information. Decentralized means there's not one true owner. Like Bitcoin has no owner. There's no board of directors. There's no CEO, right? There's no founder. The founder went away. A true decentralized platform where nodes, where different developers, miners, bring up the Bitcoin. Like they digitally mine the Bitcoin, like make it come up, and we won't explain the details of it.
Yeah, that's a hard concept for people to grasp.
Yeah,
it was for me.
Yeah, we can do like a double we could do like a YouTube video and like explain.
That's definitely something that could be explained in depth because it's
easier in an easier way. Yeah, that's what breaking to the future is all about. But I'm breaking down decentralization because, right, this is kind of what crypto is about, right? And this is where like I've been nerding out for a couple months on like democratized investing. You even said that, democratized access. Like the internet was supposed to be about that, right? In Web 1, right? When they created www, the protocols, right? www didn't get any value. It was all to Amazon, the .coms. And those created closed systems with their intellectual property, all these things. And then Web 3, which is like crypto, blockchain, transparency, open source, freedom, do you think we can really achieve that? We'll love your take on that. Like, are we just going to go pendulum swing back to the same thing? Will people just say, hey, we're going to close our doors? Because people we're tribal by nature. So what do you think is like, what is the future like for crypto, for the Web3, the new world? What are you seeing as a trader, short term, but also as an investor? And like, what are your thoughts?
Long term. I mean, I put a smile on my face because it gets me really like excited. And I like to be an optimist. I think of things, I always give myself pessimistic views, but I'm an optimist at heart, right? I mean, the future is going to be very, I can't say going to be. I never know what's going to happen, right? If I know anything, I know I don't know anything. I always got to remind myself that.
Yeah.
But if I'm just looking at, if I were to think about what I see the future being, and I heard this, I saw a tweet and I can't ever remember who it was. And this was probably almost 6-8 years ago. And this is how much I like, it stuck with me and continues to stick with me. Someone said, the world is going to operate with a few big players. Mm-hmm. We're seeing it play out. Amazon, Apple, energy is probably going to be like a Tesla. We got Microsoft, Facebook, right? There's going to be a few big players. And then there's going to be these economies built under them, which we've already seen. Fulfillment by Amazon, Facebook Marketplace. People sell on WhatsApp. You got Oculus coming out. There's going to be a few big players, and then people, like, jobs are not going to be the same. This is that deflationary environment I talk about with tech. Tech removes a lot of the work that people do. If you ever look at like movies about the future, nobody works. Like, people do odd jobs and like they do certain special things because things have been automated. I'm talking, I mean, this could be 200 years from now. Things have been automated. There's robots, yada, yada, yada. And then there's a few big players controlling certain things, right? And that doesn't always end well. And then there's just, everyone's got small businesses. And you see it, COVID kind of pushed that even further forward. Etsy, Poshmark, Pinterest, OnlyFans just gave way to people being able to do things on their own and make money, develop their own communities.
Yeah.
Now, what crypto has the potential to do, if it can continue at the pace it does of adoption and not just price appreciation, at the end of the day, long-term price appreciation is going to come from network adoption, users, speculation that's in the intermediate. And that allows for more advancement because it brings more people into the space. But this system of decentralization, which, I mean, Ethereum is probably the biggest one right now. We see other blockchains coming up like Ethereum that offer different things like lower cost, faster transaction, etc. That's different argument for a different day.
Yeah.
It allows you to do what this inevitability of bigger companies owning a lot in a decentralized fashion so that more people can benefit from the economy, which we are probably headed towards just because of technological advancement. And technology grows on an exponential scale. Like we're saying, the internet came on pretty fast. Like it took 20 years for, I don't know the percentage of how many people have a smartphone in their hands, but it's a good percentage of the world.
Close to half, right? If not half the world.
So it's amazing, right? It's kind of a crazy thing to think about. And then the adoption speed of crypto, the curve just, keeps getting steeper.
Yeah.
So how fast does this all move? But we're already seeing like how fast technology moves. A lot of people miss Facebook because they didn't understand that you value Facebook through the network and not just revenue. Revenue is great, but you can't, the human brain, and I attribute this to Raoul Paul. He explained this very well, right?
Yeah.
Of network effects. I wrote an article about it too, to try to explain it in my own way. But the human brain can't put together the speed at which these things move because of it's an exponential value. We don't think in exponential values.
We think linearly, like
We think linearly.
yeah,
Exactly.
y equals
So
x plus b.
exactly. So how fast do I mean, I COVID just sped, in my opinion, COVID brought everything 10 years closer to where it was. People working from home, people realizing their time is more valuable for what they're getting paid, right? To be around people that they love, to, I mean, just to, I guess just to value their time more overall, because that's the only asset in this world which cannot be repaid to you. You can't buy more of it. So people started to figure that out. So I'm going to go figure out how I could start small business. I'm going to go figure out the other individuals figure out how they can enable that. We saw, like, I'm just going to use OnlyFans as an example because everyone knows what it is. They were about to get rid of the sexual content, and people obviously sent an uproar. But what does crypto allow for? There's no government regulation to decide, like, or a company to decide who can post what on the blockchain. I mean, that's a problem that crypto solves. Is it there yet? Probably not. Like, people are already spinning up like, oh, there could be a decentralized fans platform, and there probably already is some. But that gets to more like adoption of things. And we've seen it. We've seen these things work at scale, and we see how powerful the Ethereum network is, with billions of dollars flowing through it every day, especially with NFTs. And these are people that don't even know that they're using the Ethereum blockchain.
They're just going OpenSea and
just going. But
buying.
That's the beautiful thing. When technology works,
yeah,
you don't know it's there. Yeah. I used to work for an automation company. We used to say this: automation is great when it works.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a complaint in the world when your upgrades are going smoothly. When there's a break, and then it's able to, I forgot the terminology we even used. It's able to flip itself back and turn on again. Like, it's just, technology is great when it's used. You're not going to question it. Most at scale, people aren't going to question like exactly what it's using, but as long as it works, right? There's just so many use cases, and it's kind of just like a brain blast to think about like where this could be freaking headed. That's why I'm just like, if you want to participate financially, I mean, I don't want to give investment advice. Just like, buying Ethereum is participating in what could be one of the biggest transformations in monetization of a lot of different things in a decentralized fashion. You see all this NFT stuff, not investment advice, right? But it's just mind-boggling to like just try to put together like the opportunities and where we could be. I mean, I always think about this, like how you ever see like a movie that's like intergalactic space travel type movie.
Yeah.
In the future, they all pay in units or like something like that. Like, all this stuff has kind of been thought of, right? Yeah. Like, they don't pay in.
Tourists already there.
Yeah, right.
Hollywood people knew whatever they do in their underground bunkers.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, like you see, you have these units, and it's intergalactic. Like, I can pay with units on space XYZ over in something galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like something crypto related. Like, that's Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever currency is chosen. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not the US dollar. Like, God forbid I got to carry a piece of paper around with me everywhere, or gold. Like, people still have that argument. Like,
yeah, it's our, and like 97 or 8% of US dollars are already digital.
They go on a screen. Like, I remember the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell did an interview with 60 Minutes back when they were doing.
Yeah, we print it digitally.
He said, so you guys, how do you actually print it? We go over to the computer and we make a few clicks and we print it digitally. Like $1 trillion today. Big whoop.
God bless the guy. Yeah, man, that's a hard seat to be in. I would not want to be in that Fed chair seat.
He's done a good job for the cards that he's handed, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean, we came from what could have been the worst economic situation in the history of the United States.
We had no choice but to print more money.
We had no choice. Just throw the sink. Like they kept saying, what did they say? Throw the sink at it. Helicopter money.
Sink. Yeah.
Yeah. All these terms.
Yeah, because the US dollar, the world trades, like it is still the world reserve currency. Everyone's depending on the strength of the dollar, right? Like to be able to trade in, right? It does help emerging markets if it gets weaker because their currency gets stronger.
Exit, yeah.
But also like, so I guess that's like my last question, or one of my last, maybe my last question. Like, do you think Bitcoin as a store of value, because of its scarce supply and a lot of people are taking it off the exchanges, so for people to know that they're holding it in their own hard wallets, their digital wallets, like, do you think Bitcoin is can be a true reserve currency, as a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists like to say? Is Bitcoin going to be the standard of currency in the future? Do you think that? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Too early to tell.
Is it a yes, no, or not sure answer, or should I give him? Like,
give your take. Definitely.
Okay, I'll give you my take. So, excluding price, I try to give my unbiased viewpoint on certain things. Like crypto, as we know, humans, as you were saying, referencing before, are tribal in nature. There's a lot of attitudes towards things that may be rational or irrational. We don't know because they haven't played out yet. It's always 2020 hindsight, right? We have seen some countries adopt Bitcoin as some form of some piece of their financial system or currency. Nothing too real, like big yet. Now, I personally think that it is a mistake to use Bitcoin as like, I don't want to say mistake. I already said it, I guess, but I don't think Bitcoin should be the currency. If I'm thinking of what Bitcoin's value is, I don't ever want to sell or spend my Bitcoin because we have already collectively agreed that there is a possibility it could be the scarcest asset in the world digitally. I mean, maybe just in everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is a currency? All a currency is a form of something that we as humans in a system collectively agree is an exchange of value. Like someone says yes, and then everyone says okay.
Yeah.
So we know that there's an issue. We know that we can't live in this cycle of paying debt with debt continuously over and over again, because it could blow up in our faces. Basically what happened in 2008, but that was with mortgages. So I guess in short, not sure, but if it was my opinion, I think the real value is this mystical nature and of Bitcoin, of no one knows who created it. And we agree that this could be the scarcest asset in the world. Why would I want to spend it? I think it could be like a gold at some point where it was the backing of the US dollar, and people hold Bitcoin, countries and companies hold Bitcoin as a reserve. And then maybe there's a different forms of currency that we actually use to transact.
Yeah.
So I think that in my mind, that makes more sense. Like using it as a reserve.
Yeah. Like
how gold used to be.
Last savor of resort.
Yeah, right. Like I don't want to spend my Bitcoin.
Mm.
This Bitcoin represents maybe the value of my economy or whatever. Um, Now, do I think that there will be a fix? Yes. I mean, we already see this happening in live time. We just pulled out of Afghanistan of a 20-year war that people don't understand why we were there. Well, I'll tell you why we were there. We were there to maintain reserve status of the US dollar across different countries because Afghanistan is in the middle of all of these other countries that have oil as an asset that is precious to us still.
U.S. petrol.
Exactly, right? Like, why else are we there? Like, why else do we have fortifications in countries all across the world? Because in turn, for our protection, you use our US dollar for trade.
Mm-hmm.
Now, China, I could talk about this for another hour, but I'll just give a quick tidbit. China has been trying to remove themselves from the influence of the US dollar. Now, will the world move towards China as a reserve? Probably not. I mean, I would hope not.
Yeah.
But we just see that their globalization has come to a turning point where the US can't be the only player because there are other economic powers that have figured things out to advance their economies, especially China, at a faster growth. And right now, we have to figure some things out to get back on the right path if we want to maintain that number one spot. Like the world doesn't need America to be the hero that it says it is to everyone else anymore, because we figured out that all of these insurgents were power grabs, and we left the countries more torn than when we got there.
Yeah.
So people see that now because of social media,
the internet.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, the world seems like it's moving away from this. And I think people understand that. People are scared, be scared to talk about it. And I always like to think about this when there's investors and, big fund managers. This is my last note, that don't agree that crypto is going to have a placeholder in our future, that they're fighting against their own existence.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
The end. To be continued.
To be continued.
Yeah. Thanks, CryptoSmiff, for your time, man. This is dope. I know we can talk for another hour, 2 hours. Probably
we'll have to connect offline a few different times.
Oh, no, for sure. Where can people follow you? Keep in touch with CryptoSmiff, aka Jordan Smith.
So, you can follow me on Twitter, CryptoSmiff. It's not Smith, it's with 2 F's at the end. It's unbelievably hard to find usernames with Smith in it. Doesn't help that my first name is Jordan either. Might as well be John Smith. But anyways, you can find me there. I have a blog. I call it Over the Ridge, Medium blog. And I'm spinning up a YouTube channel. It's going to be CryptoSmiff as well. You can find me on Instagram, Jordan Smith. So I kind of keep the branding across all my channels.
Yeah.
Twitter or TikTok, CryptoSmiff.
All over. Man.
I changed that. So recently that's getting spun up too. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Nice, man. Well, you have an amazing Labor Day weekend. Don't know when we're going to post this because I have a lot of backlog of videos, but this was dope. I hope I know the people will learn a lot, man. And you have an amazing weekend, bro.
You too, man. It was great talking to you, Joshua.
For sure, man. Yo, CryptoSmiff, aka Jordan Smith. You could follow him. I'll leave the notes below. We had an awesome conversation. He opened up about his life, personal life. Awesome, because a lot of people can probably relate to his lifestyle in your own way. We talked a lot about traditional finance, how the bigger macro picture has formulated us to go to more of a crypto world, a Web3 world, just the next generation of technology, where it's going, his own thoughts, his rabbit hole. So if you learned, if you like, definitely subscribe. Keep in touch because we're breaking to the future, all things future. enjoy your time. Enjoy your day. Whenever you watch this, I love you guys. Let's get it. Gang.